Hello everyone, I'm Mrs. Rekha Hassan, Assistant Professor of English. Today, the session is on Introduction to the poet William Blake and his poems, which is a topic in core course in English papers prescribed by Mangalore University for BA Sem 1. First, we shall go to the introduction to Blake's poems. William Blake was born in London on November 28, 1757, to James Ahoysier and Catherine Blake. From his early childhood, Blake spoke of having visions. At 4, he said he saw God. Around age 9, while walking through the countryside, he saw a tree filled with angels. He was a boy of visions. Although his parents tried to discourage him from lying, they did observe that he was different from his peers and did not force him to attend conventional school. At age 10, Blake expressed a wish to become a painter, so his parents sent him to drawing school. When he was 14, he apprenticed with an engraver. Sketch of the tombs at Westminster Abbey exposed him to a variety of Gothic styles, which was an inspiration for his future writings. In 1782, he married an illiterate woman named Catherine Boucher. Blake taught her to read and to write, as she was an illiterate, and also instructed her in draftsmanship. Later, she helped him print the illuminated poetry for which he is remembered even today. In 1784, he set up a print shop with a friend and former fellow apprentice, James Parker, but this venture failed after several years. For the remainder of his life, Blake made a meager living as an engraver and illustrator for books and magazines. In addition to his wife, Blake also began training his younger brother Robert in drawing, painting, and engraving. It is said that as Robert died because of illness, Blake saw his brother's spirit rise up through the ceiling, clapping its hands for joy. He had a vision of his brother even after his death. He believed that Robert's spirit continued to visit him and later claimed that in a dream Robert taught him the printing method that he used in Songs of Innocence and other illuminated works. Now, let's move on to William Blake's poems. William Blake, Thomas Gray, Robert Burns are called the Transitional poets. They are caught in the middle of neoclassical writing and the Romantic age. So, they fit under the Transitional age, who are called transitional poets. The age of transition is an historical and cultural period situated between 1760 and 1798, and so between the Augustan age and the Romantic age, which saw the explosion of Romantic movement from 1798, where we find the publication of lyrical ballads by Wordsworth and Coleridge, which come under the Romantic age. It was the mid-18th century and poets were tiring of the neoclassical ideals of reason and wit. The neoclassical poets such as Alexander Pope, he comes under this age. Prized order, clarity, economic wording, logic, refinement, and decorum. All these are the themes of their writing during that age. Theirs was an age of rationalism, wit, and satire. This contrasts greatly with the ideal of Romanticism, which was an artistic revolt against the conventions of the fashionable form, civilized and refined neoclassicism of the 18th century. They preached a return to nature, elevated sincere feeling over dry intellect, and often shared the revolutionary fervor of late 18th century. Poets of mid 18th century wanted to express emotion again. They wanted to leave the city far behind and travel back to the simple countryside where rustic, humble men and women resided and became their subjects. They expressed a simple affection for uncomplicated country life and used such settings to make profound comments on mankind in general, death, and religion. These poets idealized the humble man, the country setting, and universal truths. William Blake is, however, arguably the most important transitional poet. As a poet, he did away with the common standards of rationality and restraint, instead favoring to write using bold, unusual symbols to elaborate the divine energies at work in the universe. In his poems such as The Tiger, this poem makes use of an awe-inspiring mood coupled with deeply universal concerns and experience. In this case, the tiger is a symbol of evil in mankind and the heavy knowledge of experience that is brought with adulthood. His poems also made great use of repetition and parallelism, sometimes to gain the effect of a nursery rhyme, simple, soft, and sweet, as read in his poem The Lamb, where you find, "Little lamb, God bless thee, little lamb, God bless thee," where you find the rhyme scheme very soft and sweet. Blake's first printed work, Poetical Sketches, is a collection of apprentice verse, mostly imitating classical models. The poems protest against war, tyranny, and King George III treatment of the American colonies. He published his most popular collection, Songs of Innocence, in 1789 and followed it in 1794 with Songs of Experience. In defense of 18th century neoclassical conventions, he privileged imagination over reason in the creation of both his poetry and images, asserting that ideal forms should be constructed not from observations of nature but from inner visions. Works such as The French Revolution in 1791, America, A Prophecy, 1793, Visions of the Daughters of Albion in 1793, and Europe, A Prophecy in 1794, express his opposition to the English monarchy and to 18th century political and social tyranny in general. Theological tyranny is the subject of the book of Untitled. In the prose work, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, he satirized oppressive authority in church and state. In Fell Farm, he experienced profound spiritual insights that prepared him for his mature work, the great visionary epics written and etched between about 1804 and 1820. Milton in 1804 to 1808, Wala or the Four Zoas in 1797, written after 1800, and Jerusalem from 1804 to 1820 have neither traditional plot, characters, rhyme, nor meter. They envision a new and higher kind of innocence, the human spirit triumphant over reason. Blake's final years spent in the great poverty were cheered by the admiring friendship of a group of younger artists who called themselves the Ancients. Blake worked on until his death in 1827. He died on 12th August 1827. This is an introduction to the poet and to his poems. If you want to have a further reading, you can refer the book English Literature and Introduction for Foreign Readers, R.J. Rees. With this, I come to the end of the session. Thank you, one and all.